I'd like to acknowledge that this episode of TeachCast was recorded on the homelands of the Darug people. I'd like to pay respect to elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening to TeachCast today. Welcome to TeachCast, a podcast by teachers for teachers.
I'm Shannon and
I'm Siobhan. Hi everybody, welcome back to TeachCast. Today we're joined by a very special guest. I'd like to introduce to you Daniel. Daniel is a science teacher who is working on the lands of the Davey tribe of the Wiradjuri people. Daniel originally was living in the south coast and moved to the central tablelands with the assistance of a teach.Rural scholarship. He now sees himself as part of the community and is hoping to live there and be a part of that community for at least the next 15 years. Welcome to the podcast, Daniel. It's so great to have you.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Well, we might kick off with a little bit of a segment we like to call Teacher This or That.
Yeah.
The first one I have up here is, would you rather run an experiment or run a PE lesson?
Oh, that's a good one because I've always had a soft spot for PE and sports. I would probably, even though I'm science trained, experiments, a lot can go wrong. So I think I'm going to have to go PE because it's less likely of something blowing up.
Yes.
So yeah, I'd have to go PE on that one.
The safer option. What about you?
Out of curiosity, I would just love to run a science practical. Yeah. I think that it requires a lot of skill and thought behind it, and then a lot of thinking on your feet as you're actually running the experiment. But I have really fond memories in high school of all my science experiments with my teachers. So I would say science experiment.
Yeah, nice. Okay. I would also say science experiment. I feel like as a primary school teacher, anything I could turn to an experiment, I was like, yes, we will do this. Yeah, exactly. It will be experimental.
Yeah.
So I would pick that option.
Yeah.
Next one is teaching year 7 or teaching year 12?
Year 12. Okay. Yeah, without hesitation. I think you just get a bit more reward in terms of your lesson, and they're at the tail end of their time at school. Even though like year 7s, usually they come in and they're a little bit scared, so they're typically well behaved. Definitely year 12, I'd say. Yeah.
What about you?
I love teaching my senior classes just as much as I love teaching my junior classes. I think they each bring a separate personality trait, benefit to the lessons and things like that. So yeah, I definitely would say year 7. I know you can't really chime in, but perhaps we can reframe for you, kindergarten or year 6.
This is an interesting one because I always thought when I was doing my degree, I was like, oh, I don't think I'm cut out for kindergarten. But I had some time on kindy, and I feel like I often say like everyone should spend some time in kindergarten because you just learn how to get from those foundational skills. Yeah. But it's the same like with year 6, the same as year 12. It's just completely different. Like they're about to graduate primary school and go off into the big bad world of high school. Yeah, exactly. Or I shouldn't say big bad world, but big world of high school. Yeah. And it's just a totally different relationship, I suppose. Yeah. But I enjoy the independence, I think, of the year 6s.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right, next one we have is a work best before school or after school?
Before school. Yeah, definitely. I even like to get to school a little bit earlier, just to prepare like for the day and just make sure like even 20, 30 minutes before the like usual workers get there, like just to get on top of everything. But yeah, I'd have to say before school. Yeah, definitely.
I often say like I like the quiet of the morning time. I feel like the morning's a nice time to sort of sit and think about your day prior and like the where to next. I feel like my brain it works best in the morning time as well. So I understand that.
And top tip from me, become besties with your GA, your general assistant, because my GA used to turn on my heater for me in the morning at school. In winter time, he used to come in and turn the heater on for me, and he'd say, Siobhan, I left the heater on for you so you're nice and toasty when you get in there. So yeah, that's my top tip if you're a before school kind of person.
Love.
Yeah, good idea.
The final this or that we have is coffee or tea?
Probably neither. Yeah, not really a drinker of either.
You've really thrown a spanner in the works here.
Yeah, I don't know if you can say neither, but
yeah, you can.
Sorry, not an option.
What's your liquid of choice?
Probably just water.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Not like a sparkling.
No,
hot chocky.
Nah, see, not even throughout the work day, just water.
Yeah.
If I had to pick, I'd probably go a coffee.
Yeah.
But I don't have like a coffee order. I get it probably a couple times a year, and it's
little
just
treat.
yeah, it's usually a servo coffee for $1.
Nice.
And it's just, cheap.
Yeah.
I like that.
We like. All right. Well, thanks for participating in Teach Who This or That. We would love to know a little bit about Daniel, where you started, how you got yourself into teaching, and how you found yourself moving to the Central Tablelands of New South Wales.
Yeah, well, I started at University of Wollongong a few years ago now. Started off doing a Bachelor of Science, so I did that for 3 years. When that was coming to the end, I thought, what am I going to do with this? All the other people in that degree were doing PhDs and research and stuff like that, and I just couldn't see myself doing that. I already did 3 years of it, so I was like, I want to sort of career change here, and I had a good chat with my wife, and we just sort of sat down and just thought about what I guess my qualities are, and I guess what profession I'd be good at, and she mentioned teaching, and yeah, we just sort of went with it there. So I started doing my Masters of Teaching, which is the 2-year course, and just loved it. Yeah, for me, it was the practicals that really made me enjoy it and make me actually go, this is the job for me. No one really likes the theory, but when you're actually in a school, in the setting, putting all your practice to work, for me, that was my favourite part. And then from there, halfway through my Masters, I just looked at any scholarships the department had just to help out a bit. I went for a few and managed to get, the teach.Rural scholarship, which was pretty good. So they put a bit of money towards my university degree and guaranteed jobs straight out of university if you're willing to travel, which we were. So that's how we ended up, where we are today. So
I think it's really great that you went out and sort of sourced your own opportunities for scholarships and things like that. But for anyone who may not be aware, the department has a whole suite of scholarships. So for those who are interested, you can simply just search Get Paid to Study, even adding in Teach New South Wales at the end of that. And it will pull up like I said, a whole range of scholarship offerings that we have. And
for future teachers,
which constantly evolve to suit the needs of our school context. So we're always looking for high demand teachers in high demand subject areas like yourself in science. I'd be interested to think about or pick your brain about, you studied a Masters of Teaching and obviously majored in science because you did your Bachelor of Science. Are you just science trained?
So it's junior 7 to 10 science, and then because of my Bachelor, I've coded for biology and chemistry.
Oh, wonderful.
And I'm just short of earth and environmental as well. So that's how it works. So it covers me 7 to 10, and then whatever you majored in for your Bachelor, that's, I guess, where your main focus is.
And the sciences are so diverse. Like for those who are interested, you can go the physics route and things like that too. On top as well. What's your favourite science subject or unit of work to teach?
Mine's biology.
Biology? Yeah.
For me, I always call it the easy science, even though it's very difficult still.
Easy to some, I would say.
That would make me feel more confident as a student in your class. Like, I'm doing easy science.
Yeah. But like it's a subject that most people can understand quite well, and it's about how living things work. So even if you don't have an interest in it, it's still handy to know because we're all living things. So you got to have a rough idea as to how things work. But chemistry for me, that's my probably second favourite. Mixing chemicals and stuff together is always fun. But there's a few cool experiments which are good in there. It's just trying to, I guess, promote any science, but for me, it'd be definitely biology.
So biology is a sweet spot.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because like primary school teacher life, Living World was one of the units within the science curriculum for stage 3. And we would always do like maybe the life cycle of maybe a plant or something, whatever you decided to be looking at that point in time with your students. And crowd favorite was always growing a plant from a seedling. Exactly. Just like the magic you would see the students, they'd come in and they'd check their little plants every single day, and like seeing it come to life, like the pure joy. And even me, like I'm not really a plant person. I'm getting better with age, taking care of the plants. But it was always just the most exciting thing for them to be able to see it starting to grow and a real living thing coming to life. So I resonate with that.
I love that. So science is cool. Science rocks,
we
guys.
Love science.
So you did mention about your move, the idea that you were open and willing to travel. I'd be really interested to hear about your thought process behind being so open to essentially going anywhere in the state, and perhaps some advice to those who are maybe, toying with the idea of going rural and choosing that lifestyle.
I think I'll start with the advice. So for us, it was... I guess to make the decision, we had to know what rural Australia was like. So before we started even looking into it, every holiday we had, instead of going overseas to other countries, we thought, let's just try and drive inland and let's just see what
Explore
it's
the
like.
backyard.
So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we always had a family farm near Goulburn in a little town called Taralga, and we used to visit there a lot when I was quite young. So I always had that idea of what country life was like. It was just my wife I had to try and convince that it's a good setting and it's a great way of living. So I think the advice would be to go and check out all these country towns, see what they have to offer before you definitely decide on it. Just basically suss out the area before you go there, and to see and just picture yourself living there. And for us, it was a little bit on affordability as well. Like Wollongong, it's getting quite expensive to buy a property down there, even though all our family's down that way. So for us, it was like, if we move out west, it's a little bit cheaper, a little bit more affordable, and makes us probably start our family a little bit quicker. So,
Same quality of life, right?
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Move.
Yeah.
And actually a few programs came to mind when you were talking about that. So if we're, you know, heeding advice to those who go rural, there are a few that come to mind for me. There's the Rural Professional Experience Program. So students, pre-service teachers on their placements can choose to do a rural placement, and the department can support them to do that. And our favourite, the Beyond the Line program, probably shouldn't say our favourite, and a little bit biased, and the Beyond the Line program, which takes 50 pre-service teachers out on a tour of selected, you know, regional, rural or remote schools to give them that feel. So I think what you're saying, that whole try before you buy mentality is part of your advice. I think that it's good for our viewers to know that there are plenty of options out there for those who potentially are even a bit more apprehensive to move off that, you know, like you did.
And there's certain schools, I think they have different like point systems as well. So you can go to like, if you don't want to go too far out, there's a lot of closer schools that are still like where we are is only 2.5 hours to the city. So like you can do it in a weekend, you can come down, and I think we're a 4-point school, so like it builds up your transfer points for later on.
It does. It comes with its own set of benefits and incentives.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And people might be curious, like that are listening, about the incentives and benefits that the department do provide. So on the Teach New South Wales website, if I can get my words out, what state are we in? We are in New South Wales, everyone. Teach New South Wales. We do have incentives and benefits on our webpage and information about what you're talking about. You can see different schools that are in rural or remote regions. Then you might be curious about what incentive points, transfer points that they have with them. There's things on there like stamp duty,
Relief payment,
rental subsidy, relocation support as well. So all of that information is on our webpage, so people can head over and have a little bit more of a look in more depth.
Yeah, it's worth checking out, definitely.
I really it's cool to hear how you sort of went out and explored to try and see what it would be like beforehand. But could you take us back to, you know, packing up your car and sort of heading out? What was that like, and how was your, once you got there, what did it feel like when you landed yourself?
Like I guess any move, it's a bit daunting, but especially going like pretty far away from home, and for both of us it was our first time moving out of home. So for me and my wife, but it was quite emotional, quite sad, saying goodbye to mum and dad, like leaving with the truck and trailer full and heading off. Like they helped us move and whatnot as well, but there's a lot to take, a lot to sort of, I guess, bring with you. But I think when we first got there, probably the first week or two, we were finding our feet again, still unpacking boxes and going for just drives around the town just to see what is actually here again, and make sure like, there's the IGA, there's the bakery, there's the post office, there's the pub if you need it. But it was just sort of, it's like exploring a new world. So the first few weeks was a little bit like uneasy, but once you find your feet and once you start working and get that stability, we both loved it. We rented for the first 6 months. After the 6 months, we bought a first house, and it's 5 years later. So we straight away, the price to pay off your mortgage is cheaper than your rental payments. So out there, so it was
set your roots down. Pretty much straight away.
And there also is on benefits and incentives as well. There is options for teacher housing. Like you can do similar to what you did and go and find your own source of accommodation. However, there is teacher housing available in some locations as well, which you can also find information on our webpage about.
Exactly.
I'd be interested to hear now, like, you know, yes, the first few weeks, exciting, daunting.
Yeah.
But I'd be interested to hear about how the school and the community welcomed you, or what you did to start to feel like you were a part of that community.
Yeah. Well, when we were actually moving out there, it was just after the 2019 bushfires.
Oh, wow.
So we were driving up there, and the community was in like a pretty bad state after that. Like everyone was quite emotional and stuff as well. So there was a lot of events around that, like local meetings and stuff. So through the school as well, a lot of the kids and a lot of the staff were affected, like lost a lot of animals and a lot of land. So there was already like this positive vibe where it was just after the fire, so everyone was trying to build up the community again. And it was like pretty much the perfect time to move there, because everyone was just trying to build back the positivity in the community. So there was events happening. All the staff at the school were very welcoming. Assisted with moving and everything, and took me out and showed me all the local places and climbed the local hikes, went up to Rocky Mountain and climbed up there, and it was awesome. Like joined all the local sporting things with all the teachers, and we slotted in perfectly. And they were all so accommodating, and just a typical little country town, I like to say.
It sounds like as well, from what you're saying, you obviously went in with quite an open mind. Like you wanted to join in the community and be a part of things. So, did that look like joining the local sporting team? Like what did you end up doing?
Yeah, definitely. I think, if you go into a town like that with the mindset, not talk to anyone, not socialise, then it'll be very difficult. But having that mindset going, what can I do? Like I want to sort of get involved and help out. So for me, it was joining the squash team first, or local squash comp.
I didn't pick you for what do we call them, a squasher?
I'm not sure. I don't want to say the wrong term, but I don't know. I'm not sure, but that was the first one. We have a team at the school that's actually state champs in New South Wales. Yeah, that's so great.
Are you the coach?
No, I'm not. No, when I went there, it was my first year ever playing squash, so I had no idea. I've never played it before. But they roped me into the local competition, which was good fun. And then from there, it was then touch footy, local touch comp, then the rugby league team, and it just sort of built from there. There's tennis, but I'm not really a tennis player. So, I like squash where you can smash it as hard as you can. Whereas tennis, if you do that, it goes way over the fence. So, but for me, it was the sporting things. But there's a lot of other community groups, and there's a Rotary Club, and there's there's a library you can head up there, and they've just got all these amazing things there. But for me, I just tailored to sport because,
that's what you're interested in.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you're trained in science, but have you taught outside of your science faculty? Have you taught in other areas?
Yeah, a lot. Did a lot of PE, a lot of tech mandatory in year 7 and 8, like woodwork and metalwork. And year 9 and 10, I did timber and metal, and teaching that now this year as well. Wonderful. So 9, 10 timber and a fair bit of PE again and pass. But I guess the benefit to that is then you can build up accreditation in those subject areas.
Do you say you taught a little bit of special and inclusive education,
a little
learning
bit,
support as well?
But probably not enough to meet the quota.
But you just even gaining that valuable experience. I think that's something that you can't always get in your metropolitan schools. Exactly. So I think having that benefit of a small rural school where if you feel like you're malleable enough to jump between, which obviously
and you're interested in it.
You're very laid back, easygoing. I can see that you're that go-getter within the school who's willing to put your hand up for any opportunity. I'll try it once and see if you like it. I think that's more so possible in a school like yours, living in those rural communities.
Definitely. And for me, I think that was another reason to choose rural.
I think it'd be really interesting to hear from you as well if during your move you had perhaps any misconceptions about what you were getting yourself into, and then were those perhaps myth busted for you?
Yeah, so the main one that I heard from everyone is country towns are very cliquey, and unless you're from that town, you're not going to fit in, or they're not going to, I guess, accept you. And it sort of felt like that in that first week or two potentially, but after that we were like, no, definitely not. This is definitely a myth busted. So to anyone that I ever talk to about it, like every country, I don't know about every country town, but all the ones that I've been to, and especially the one we're in now, very welcoming people, very laid back, which is I think why I fit in so well. Very calm and just go with the flow. Like they don't stress, there's no panic. the air's different out there. Like it's just, yeah.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
It really is, because
Oh,
when we went to a wonderful school in Goulburn, the
Oh, yep.
students were giving us a tour around the school, and we all sort of stopped, and I went, oh,
Yeah.
it's fresh out here.
Yeah.
Like the air is different. You
Oh,
actually
it
get
is.
a different,
Yeah.
you feel, I think,
Yeah.
light and really
Yeah.
refreshed out there. It's just,
Oh,
until
definitely.
you experience it. Like
Yeah.
for me, I had never been to a rural school before, or even a regional school as well. I think you have to see it to believe it.
Yeah, big time.
Right.
And one of the cool things was it took me about 6 months. I think when we first bought a house and we went out at night time and I looked up and just looked at all the stars and I was like, why haven't I done this before? Like it was
Yeah.
amazing. You can see everything and there's no like smog or anything from the city.
No
There's
light
no light
pollution.
pollution.
Yeah.
It was just like, wow. Like
Stunning.
you
We,
can see everything.
As you say that, we went on one of the Beyond the Line program study tours. So we took a group of university students from across different universities across New South Wales. And one of the schools we went to, one of the areas was Coonabarabran.
Oh, yeah.
And we went to the observatory there. And
yeah.
some of the students had never left the metropolitan region of Sydney that were on that study tour. And when we went and looked up at the stars and just like you said, like no light pollution, just completely different. They were just really in awe. And they were like, it's so quiet. Like it's just a totally different, like they loved it.
Yeah.
And we already had 2 students who have and left metropolitan Sydney from that experience of going out and experiencing these regional, rural, and remote schools on that study tour over a week, have gone and relocated.
Yeah. And we had a similar thing where we brought the Year 10s and Year 12s into Sydney for a couple of nights, and for a lot of them, probably 3/4 never been to Sydney before.
Yeah.
Never been out of our local area. So for them, it was an amazing eye opener.
Yeah.
So for a lot of the kids, like they go and do their tests, their driving tests, and there's not a traffic light.
Right. So
And then,
Oh
and then
my
when they drive,
goodness.
to the city,
Yeah.
and they have like 20 in the span of 2 Ks. They're just like, like a few of them have told me stories where they've driven down to Sydney on the holidays and they've come back and like never again, sir.
too
Never
many
doing that again.
traffic lights.
Yeah, it's just like it's a
I
completely
guess
different way of
that
living.
sort of leads me back into those myths, because typically from what we hear is, our kids living in rural New South Wales like don't have the same opportunities as metropolitan students. Is that something that you've seen, like, perhaps that myth was dispelled for you when you were there? Like it sounds like you've taken your students like on sporting trips, excursions, Sydney, trips to Sydney.
That's it. There's still, if the kid or the student wants those opportunities, they're going to chase them no matter what.
Yeah.
But I guess for our small school, we offer a vast range, just as any other coastal school would, I guess. But I think I'm definitely, it's just the whole point of teaching in a rural school is trying to make sure that they got the same opportunities as every other student in the state. And I think we do a really good job of that at our school. And I think that's something most rural schools would try to achieve. Yeah.
So I think it's a really good segue into asking you, like, what impact do you feel like you're making or having on a day-to-day in the school environment? Do you have any special stories to share or specific moments that come to mind when I say impact?
Yeah, I don't want to sound like I've got a big head, but I'm hoping I've made a really good impression on them. But for me, mainly being a year advisor the last couple of years and seeing the year group through. So they left 2023 was their final year. And I guess it's a position that was my first year group. So I was still a little bit unsure as to what year advisor does. So I was finding my feet with them and trying to assist them through their HSC. I hope I could show them the calm qualities that I had, and try not to stress with your upcoming exams. And if you need anything, just ask for help. So I hope that those qualities and those attributes in myself as a role model and a potential leader for them to look up to, help them get through their Year 12 studies and stuff like that. Because I had a lot of them coming up to me at the end, and they gave me a nice little gift, a little book, and they all wrote a personal note in it. I remember we all got teary at the end of the year. Like it's a sad moment.
I have my own experiences.
And for me, that I guess solidified that I'm doing something right. Like if all the kids are wanting to write a nice personal message and tearing up and giving you a hug goodbye and even now, like a few of them send me messages and like, oh, thanks for everything, sir. Like, it's it's quite emotional. It is, yeah.
You sort of forget how much they look up to you or pick up on your little quirks, your interests or
I
things
know.
like that. I mean,
The impact you have.
me personally, I taught this lesson once to my year 12s, and it was this concept in English of textual integrity, the value of a text for all its parts.
Yeah.
And to me, the concept was quite boring, so I decided to explain it in an interesting and unique way by using the concept of a KFC Zinger box.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Relatable content.
relatable content.
Exactly.
All the parts in the box are great. You know, your burger, your chips, your potato and gravy, your drink. But as a whole, it comes together and it's just a chef's kiss impeccable meal, right? And they really got it. They were like, oh, so I get it. The characters and the themes and, the narrative arc and the techniques that the author used, it actually comes together, and that's what makes a novel good.
Yeah.
Wow, Miss, that's really good. Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Close the door. See you later, everyone. Let's revisit textual integrity later. A year later, when I saw them off, they actually gave me my gift inside a KFC Zinger box.
Oh my God, I love
So they wrapped up my gift in little wrapping and things like that. And I forgot about that lesson until that point, but to them it was a really special and unique moment. So I think talking about, lasting impact or the change that you can make or just the little nuances of your job, you sort of look back and you go, I care as much about them as they care about me. And that's really special when you have
definitely.
that.
And they made it hard on me because they wrote my memorable quotes and stuff like that, and my most used terms.
I know.
And they wrote in there just quickly, and they had it in apostrophes, and I was like, what do they mean by that?
Do you say that all the
And
time?
then every lesson now, every time I say it, I'm like, oh, I've got to think of something. I'm like, just quickly, year 7, and then I'm like, oh, I can't say that. How else do I say year 7? Look at me. It's just that's a term that they.
But that's who you are, and that's what you
know.
do, and that's what you're known for.
And when I saw it, I was like, what is this? And I think I asked one of them, said, what's just quickly? What does that mean? And they're like, you say it a lot, sir. And I was like, oh, okay. And then, they've ruined it for me now. So every time I say it, I'm like, I've got to think of something different.
Positive.
Yeah.
I totally resonate with that. We used to do character traits when we'd be studying a novel for English, and we always used to do inferential or literal traits, for example.
Yeah.
And I remember we did an example, I did what a good one looks like on the board with this, we co-constructed as a class, and I was like, oh, so who should we do? And they were like, well, let's do you, miss. I was like, all right. We'll put
Here we go.
my beautiful stick figure on the board. The artiste in me.
Yeah.
And they started saying, okay, so literal, always guaranteed to say, that's fab. And that's wow, I feel really seen right now. So same thing, I used to always say, all right, fab, that's fab, great, fab, everything. And I was like, I have to stop saying that. I have to find a new way of saying that phrase.
Yeah, but it is a positive
you
thing.
out.
It's something they're going to remember forever too. And and now I've got to try and think of another term to say instead of just quickly.
Literally.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to hear, I love asking this question, if you had sort of a mentor or someone throughout your schooling years that supported you and guided you as a student.
Yeah. When I started as a graduate teacher at a current school, there was Mr. Vaughan and Miss Johnson. So they were the two main ones that I guess sort of assisted the new beginning teachers through and spent a lot of hours pushing us to do our accreditation and get on top of that nice and early. But yeah, they were just sort of, again, they just made the transition easier. And as it being my first full-time job, just being able to have them to go to and just say hey, this happened, what do I do? And just knowing that they're 100% going to give you the best advice. You can go to them with anything and offer any support that you need. So it's handy to have as a teacher.
A very supportive environment.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear a little bit about working at a smaller school. I myself have worked at different size schools, but majority of my career has been at a very large school, close to 1,100 students.
Yeah, wow.
So how does it, working at a small school, do you feel like you just have ample opportunity to build connections across the board, 7 to 12, or what's your experience like?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, about 200 kids, 7 to 12, so not too many. It's a lot easier to remember all the names. But yeah, I think it's just different to your coastal schools having so many. So being able to know every student by name and actually remember all of their qualities and, oh, this one likes football, oh yeah, that one loves horse riding, or that one loves whatever. It just makes it easier to build
Taylor
that
Swift,
rapport.
probably.
Yeah, there's a lot of teachers as well went to the concert,
There
so
you
we're
go.
short on that day.
You'd have to upskill in that area if you weren't
You
already
do, you
Swiftie.
Yeah, but it's just, I guess, you build that rapport quicker, you build that respect with the kids quicker, and I think it's a very different setting, but you sort of feel like you have more opportunities and stuff like that because you don't feel as busy, I think.
Yeah.
Like the workload, when it's report time, I got my biggest class is probably 20, and smallest, if I had a senior class, I don't have one this year, but you have about 4 or 5.
You'd also probably know your families very well because you
Yeah.
may have, siblings throughout the school. So local families you'd really
Yeah.
get to know over the years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you got to know a little bit about your community, a little bit about families. So it's figuring out all those dynamics and figuring out, I guess, how each family works, and I guess how each student learns as well. Yeah, to tailor your lessons towards that. Yeah.
And what's next for you in your career? Like, what do you see yourself doing in terms of, classroom teaching and things like that?
I just want to sort of build up my, I guess, repertoire and my skills as a teacher.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't mind going out and doing a little bit of everything to build up the resume. And probably next goal would be looking at maybe a head teacher science position.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. So there was one at the school last year, and me and the other teacher went for it. And it was a good eye opener as to, I guess, how your applications work, and I guess what you need to have completed before you can even become a head teacher. So going for that in my 4th year teaching was just a good experience builder to go, okay, well, if that's something I'm aiming towards, this is what I need to achieve. So I guess it's...
you can tailor your professional development towards that so that you know what you need to achieve in order to reach the goal.
Yeah, definitely.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's probably the next goal at the moment, is tailor towards any professional learning that will help you get better, I guess, skills towards a head teacher position in the future.
Yeah. It sounds like, from what you've mentioned before, your wife has found a network as well. And I think for some people who are considering moving, who may have a partner that they're going to move with, do you have any advice for them, watching your wife sort of, cement herself within the community as well?
Yeah. I guess the advice would be just do it. Like, just, you don't know until you try it.
Yeah.
And you can have all the fears in the world, but until you actually move, and once you're there, it's a lot easier. Yeah. Like in hindsight, going, 80% of the town's over 60, we're not going to find anyone. That was my thought. Within the first couple of weeks, like, we were fine.
You had your network,
You find your place eventually. So for my wife, that was another fear because she's never really done rural before. And getting there, she was working for the first year or two, so she made friends through her work as well. I guess it's... The only advice would be, literally just to give it a go. You have to. Yeah. And the worst thing that can happen is if you don't like it, just move back home.
Yeah.
Or if there's any issues, if something's not working out, you can always move again. But I think you got to just sort of bite the bullet and, push through that, I guess, the stigma around the rural towns, and push through the nervousness and the fear and give it a go, because, like I said, like when you try it and when you actually go and see an area before you move there too, it makes it a bit more at ease to make that move possible. So, I think for my wife, it was my main fear, but she overcome it quite easily.
Yeah.
And we're both loving it at the moment. So
I'm sold. Where are we moving to, Shannon?
Yeah.
Get the list going.
Yeah.
Give us the fresh air and the
exactly.
no lights.
Just the stars.
The beautiful stars,
No
the
traffic.
sky stars.
Yeah.
No traffic lights.
Yeah.
Not
2
just
minutes
needs
from
that.
work for me. That's like
That's
I
insane.
used to ride my bike to work sometimes because I was like,
Why not?
Incidental exercise.
Yeah.
It's not even a kilometre, but I thought, it's all right. I just tell the kids, I'm riding from 15 k's out, and they all believe it, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, how do you find, living in the same town that you work in, you bump into your students often, I imagine.
Everywhere you go, there's a student or an ex-student.
Yeah.
At the local IGA, there's about 4 or 5
that work there.
The last year that I was year advisor for, so it's a good catch-up. See how they're going, how's uni, how's this, and it's good for them too to give back to their community who's given so much to them. But you definitely do see a lot of them out and about, which I kind of like. I think it's a good thing. and the kids get to see you in a different way of light too. But yeah, I mean, if you don't like that, you can always try and find an area a little bit further out.
Yeah.
But for me, a big thing was that time to get home, especially with my wife with 2 boys. I was like, and no other family to help out. I said,
Yeah.
we've got to stay close. So
You can't really beat 1 minute, can you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Couldn't be any closer, really.
Best as it could be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Good.
Amazing. Well, I have one more question.
Yeah. Shoot.
How would you like your students to remember you?
Good question. I don't know. I think I'd just like them to remember me as a person they could approach, a person they were comfortable around. Definitely a person that they looked up to and saw as a role model. But basically, I just want them to look back and go, thank you, sir, for helping me get to where I am today. So for the classes that I've seen through to Year 12 and the U group, the marks don't matter. The report comments don't matter. It's them getting to where they want to go. And for a lot of them in a small town who, again, have probably had that idea of, there's no opportunities here, probably 3/4 of them are at university now studying a degree they want to do.
Yeah.
And the other quarter are doing an apprenticeship or working locally and doing something they're interested in. So I hope they could all look back and just say that,
So it was in my corner.
He was, he backed me whenever we needed it, and he helped me get to where I am today. So,
Proud teacher moments all around.
Yeah, I know. And it's still early in my career. I've probably still got a long stint ahead of me, but I think when I'm nearing the end, that's, I guess, what I want all my students to look back on and think, when they think of me.
Yeah, I resonate with that.
Definitely.
I actually have a few tears in my eyes.
Emotions are high today on the couch. Well, I think that's all we have time for. Thank you so much, Daniel, for joining us. I think you've really brought a perspective that we haven't had before, and I've really enjoyed hearing about your experiences and your story.
Yeah, no, thank you again for having me.
When we swing by your local town, we'd love to, not that you drink tea or coffee, but,
We'll have a water. I may,
We'd
I
love
do
to have a
enjoy
water with you.
sparkling water.
I'll remember that.
Fantastic. Well, that's all we've got time for. So thanks for joining us, everyone. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to TeachCast, where we explore the dynamic world of education. Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe to be notified when new episodes become available. You can find us on social media via our handle @teach.NSW. Until next time, keep learning, keep teaching, and keep making a difference. TeachCast is a podcast by the Teach New South Wales team from the New South Wales Department of Education.